Hello, Knights of Knee. So today I wanted to make a video about one of the potential pitfalls about being an INFJ. And I don't know if this is just me or if it's a problem with that other INFJs might relate to. And if you relate to it, you can leave a comment. Um, and that kind of revolves around this almost like the whole ESTP shadow self, alter ego thing, how we are using TI, but our TI can be funneled through SE. And I've been thinking about this since another INFJ that I've connected with, Ancora, kind of brought this to my attention. She goes by the initials SR, Ancora. She's awesome. We've had a lot of really great, interesting deep dive talks. We don't really talk super often, but when we do, it's always really deep. And we were kind of talking about some like relational issues we've had in our lives. And she said to me, she was like, "You have really high SE, right?" And I was like, "Yeah." And she was like, "Well, sometimes when TI is kind of like being funneled through SE, it can be really like pushy and like bossy almost and aggressive." And I was like, yeah. So I don't know. I kind of thought about that, and um, because I really try to stay humble, I, I wasn't offended at all. I was like, no, I can totally see in my life how that's been a problem for me, where maybe someone with TI higher in their stack is going to, of course, want to get to like the truth, care about accuracy, that kind of thing. I feel like an INFJ, maybe with a stack like me, it's kind of like wielding TI like a bull in a china shop. Like instead of like a surgeon's tool, it can turn into like this like truth hammer where we're just bashing people over the head. And you know, I I want to become a better person. Lifelong quest for any INFJ worth their grit is always analyzing ourselves and being open to ways we can improve and just show up um, as like a healthier, kinder person in the world. And so I've been doing a lot of reflection on that and how um, I acting like that, acting like the bearer of truth, the bludgeoner of truth. In the past, it's led to the breakdown of at least two relationships. And it was like, when I feel like I have the truth and I feel like someone else isn't seeing what's so obvious to me, it is very hard for me to just let it go and just let it be, like, right? Like any normal person would do. And it's almost like, I think one flaw of an INFJ is that we do really, really care about, I don't want to just say being right, but like if we're passionate about something, we're going to do a lot of research and we're going to dive super deep and become really knowledgeable. And it can almost lead to this sort of like intellectual arrogance where we are so sure that we're right that it's really, really hard for us to let it go when we see someone that we think is in the wrong. And we may be kind of like a little bit meek or almost passive aggressive about it at first, but we'll progressively get more and more like intense with trying to awaken them to the truth, right? Which, I mean, is obviously obnoxious. And like, I can look back in my life, I'm 35, and there were times in my life where I was so sure about something. just dead set on it. And then I did come across different information and changed my stance. And so, like, naturally, I think as you go through life, you do develop some humility just in being like, oh, wow, I was wrong. And I'm like holding these beliefs and I could be wrong. So I'm going to try to behave with a little bit more humility about what I believe. But still, I know that's been a tendency of mine to just really struggle with accepting other people's beliefs that I believe are erroneous, like being able to just accept them and not just like poke and prod at it. And oh wow, like honestly, what's coming out of this is the process of the restoration of a very important relationship of mine that had broken down. And this person is like me in that they're also very, very passionate, very passionate about what they believe. I'm very passionate about what I believe. And of course, those topics would come up and we would just butt heads, and neither one of us would back down. And now I'm beginning to think of like the ways that I contributed. Not that I was totally unaware before, but the ways that I contributed to the breakdown of that relationship, just almost like being a jerk. And like it was even a religious issue. And I'm like, more than anything, as a Christian, we should be showing people the love of God. Like we should be more concerned about loving them versus like beating them over the head with the truth. Like this is what the Bible says, And I'm like, lately I've just been praying. I'm like, God, like, help me to really love and care about the people in my life more than I care about being right. Because being right and refusing to let go of that can lead down to the breakdown of relationships and lead to loneliness. And like, so I'm seeing a very important relationship in my life kind of coming back from the dead, which is, it's good. And I think it's like a good example of me to learn to be more gracious and accepting of other people and their belief systems and less intensely dogmatic. And like realizing that you can just love someone where they're at. And I mean, that seems really obvious, but some of us have to learn that the hard way. So, anyways, life lessons from an INFJ, just stay humble. Remember that faithful are the wounds of a friend. People might point out things to you that you might be tempted to get a little bit hurt by, but really, if you're feeling that like feeling, maybe there's a little bit of truth to it. And instead of getting offended with them, you should just kind of get quiet and examine yourself. Because living with humility, being open, it's what keeps us from being stagnant and just stuck, and even just going further into a place of whatever, personality flaws or whatever we're avoiding dealing with. So, am I the only INFJ out there that is like, you need the truth? I would like to have a little camaraderie here. But anyways, those are my thoughts for the moment. Thank you so much for listening and your support. Love you guys. Bye.